She is so irritating to listen to in interviews. She's so privileged and so woke that Disney has got so much kickback from how vile her interviews are and how unlikable her personality is that they've actually fired her.
I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
So, ladies and gentlemen, people don't like Rachel Zegler. She's not relatable. She's not that girl next door. She's really quite repulsive. And the thing is, it has nothing to do with her ethnicity or her skin color or anything like that. Because really anyone can play Snow White, and I mean that genuinely. There are people that hyper focus on Snow White being white. It's like, okay, well, I understand that. I do. I genuinely get it. You want a character that's reflective of the time, the period, and the story. But the truth is that if you had somebody that was embodying Snow White as a person, as a character, as an aura, people would be really on board, no matter what skin color they were. Now, I know this goes against the media's talking points, but here's the truth. Snow White is the embodiment of femininity and kindness. The whole movie about Snow White, which is why we're all here, is about friendship. So, all of these things are integral to the movie. So, who do they pick? Somebody that is immediately repulsive, unlikable, mean-spirited, nasty. Somebody that does not embody any of the principles of Snow White as a movie or as the character. They have bastardized this classic that was Walt Disney's legacy for absolutely no upside. They are not doing themselves any favors, and they refuse to listen to feedback. They refuse every time they do something like this. And we shouldn't even be talking about this. Rachel Zegler should never have been cast at all. This shouldn't be a debate. This shouldn't be a topic of conversation. I shouldn't be doing this video because in a sane world where these companies were listening to you and I and trying to deliver the best product possible, and they weren't beholden to mega corporations peddling this evil shit, this DIE, this ESG, this woke crap that is meant to try to change the world into something that resembles hell. You're going to eat the bugs and you're going to like it. You're going to own nothing and you're going to like it. The way that these people, these sickos, view humanity is one of the most depraved and evil things imaginable. And honestly, if it were up to me, they'd all be in prison. Because they are a danger to our species. And the evidence of that is in everything. In the foods that we eat, in the media that we consume. They are not here to help better humanity. These people are monsters. And so they hire somebody like this. Why? Because she's subversive. And they like that idea until she starts hurting their bottom line a little bit. And then they moved on to fire her. But I think she's actually been brought back because there's been a change. There's a new Snow White. Thanks to the Daily Wire and Bentkey, which is a brilliant play on Disney's, keys to the kingdom. The Disney key. Mickey. Yeah, Mickey Mouse. Yeah, you get it. But Brett Cooper is the new Snow White. And I think they did a fantastic job of capitalizing on the time of the launch and Brett Cooper herself. And her video here called "The Next Snow White Is Me?" question mark, exclamation point. This whole video is rather endearing. Makes me like Brett Cooper, even if she does look too much like Ben Shapiro. The reality is that Brett Cooper demonstrates more of the characteristics that are required to play Snow White than Rachel Zegler ever has. Now, personally, I don't know where this entitlement comes from. I don't know how you can be offered more money than people will see in a lifetime, and the opportunity to play a character that people love and is one of the most iconic Disney movies ever, and for you to have that attitude, that chip on your shoulder, I don't know how you get there. I honestly don't. I don't know how you get to that point, because that's beyond delusional. That's evil. That is somebody that's like, I have all of this that I could do good with. All of this that I could do good with, and I'm going to choose the dark. I'm going to choose Satan. I'm going to choose the bad. I'm going to choose to try to make people's lives a little bit worse. I'm going to disparage the things that they care about. I'm going to try to accuse them of being bad people to satiate my own ego and avoid taking responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, don't doubt me. These people are evil. They're demonic. They are genuinely the closest things we have to demons on earth. They embody all of these different 7 deadly sins. And so what I would say is, where you give your money, where you give your time, where you give your attention is so important. I would every time choose somebody like Brett Cooper over somebody like this. Because she doesn't care about the role. She only cares about herself and her politics. She's a young, dumb, arrogant, entitled, repulsive person that is the bane of anyone that comes in contact with her. That's the reality. Whereas Brett Cooper, I don't watch much of her content, but what I saw in this video, yeah.
I'm Brett Cooper. Last week was a very big week, objectively a huge week. We had quite a few announcements. I loved reading all of your comments across all social media platforms about all the announcements, but the first one we rolled out was Bentkey, which is Daily Wire's new company. It's a platform for kids' entertainment. If you are an annual subscriber to Daily Wire, you already have access to Bentkey, so go download it and start watching it if you have kids. Starting this past weekend, we have officially brought back Saturday morning cartoons for 100 episodes of different shows, action film, which is Snow White and the Evil Queen. And that's me. I'm Snow White, which is so funny to say. Before we dive into this story, though, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel. But before we dive into that, because I want to do a reaction and read some of the comments, I want you to see what Jeremy Boring had to say about the project first.
Yeah, and I think this is important as well. Now, obviously, this is PR and they know what they're doing. But I think this clip from Jeremy Boring is also important to understand the difference between Bob Iger and Jeremy Boring. The difference in perspective from somebody who sits atop an empire that's crumbling versus somebody that sees the opportunity to build something up from the rubble.
Because it gives a lot of important context.
Walt Disney embodied the American spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation. He risked everything to build his dream. One of his greatest risks and greatest achievements was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Critics at the time called it Disney's folly. They were certain it would be a flop. It was 400% over budget, and it would have bankrupted the entire company if it didn't succeed. Everything you see today from Disney was made possible by Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So there's no better example of Disney's disregard for their own heritage or their disregard for their own audience than their current remake of their own classic film. Unfortunately, the company Disney founded doesn't agree with their founder and visionary. They're remaking their own iconic film nearly 100 years later. They've decided to make some key changes. While Disney still uses Walt's name, they've all but abandoned his legacy. Instead of telling stories about timeless truth, what the ancient fairy tales were all about, Disney's new Snow White is an apology for their past and will expose children to the popular but destructive lies of the current moment.
And everything Jeremy just said, all of this is why Bentkey has decided to produce their own adaptation of this beloved Grimm's Brothers fairy tale, Snow White and the Evil Queen.
So I think that's a pretty good encapsulation of the entire situation. You have one person that believes in Walt Disney's vision. Obviously, he's trying to make a profit off of it and make a point off of it. He's a conservative commentator, and that's what he does. But at the same time, he makes a very, very good point. Because, well, I mean, Disney is not making movies and content for its fans or to tell a story. They're doing it to tell a narrative, and that narrative is immediately repulsive to most people. But their belief is if we just do this enough, you'll have no choice but to ingest this. And the answer is no. No, people are not just going to take this. Over years and years and years, Disney has continued to fumble and continued to blunder and make mistake after mistake, putting Star Wars in the hands of Kathleen Kennedy. There are so many things, and by the way, I don't just blame Kathleen Kennedy for that. It's clear that Bob Iger is an idiot and incapable of managing a company. He was given the keys to this company, and he has run it into the ground. They're in the worst shape financially than they've ever been in. That groveling, pathetic investors call where Bob Iger was basically on his hands and knees like, we're cutting back and I've saved so much money. They're not talking about growth. They're talking about managing the decline, and they're still coming out with this petty, ridiculous shit. It is almost impossible for me to wrap my mind around the fact that Disney, of all companies, is incapable of generating profit. When was the last time you saw Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy in a high-budget movie? When was the last time you saw them actually utilize the characters and legacy that they have for the better? There is nothing to say that they can't create another animated classic like The Princess and the Frog or Beauty and the Beast. There's nothing to say that they can't do that other than their own limitations, where they're obsessed with modern culture, modern politics, pandering to these woke, brain-damaged, pathetic losers who constantly regurgitate the most evil, depraved shit that they've been told forever. These people are not the future of humanity. These people are a problem that we have to get through to get to paradise. The reality is that the moment that you realize that the future is not woke leftism, the future is in modern conservatism and populism and libertarianism, rugged individuality. The moment that you realize that, Disney's going to be in a much better place, because they're going to go back to telling stories that embody these traditions that people believe in now, in the past, and will believe in the future.
If you've not seen it already, here's the trailer, and then after we watch it, I'll give you... It's so sick, y'all. everyone in that trailer, and I'm still like so excited and I get chills.
There I am, Gary, there I am.
The whole thing is just so cool. The moment when still like so excited and I get chills.
There I am, Gary, there I am.
The whole thing is just so cool. The moment when the music starts to crescendo as I turn around. When I first heard the music, I was like, stop right there. That's just it's so amazing. Funnily enough, I recorded the song without hearing the rest of the trailer's score.
All right, so you can watch her video. It's the comment section with Brett Cooper. Very big channel. 3.6 million subscribers. That's impressive. So you get the point. You see her reaction. Feels genuine. She feels like a person that you would want playing Snow White. Does that make sense? It's very clear that this person and this person may appear similar in age, but are vastly, vastly different. Unbelievably different. You saw the genuine nature of Brett Cooper, that she seemed genuinely excited to play this role. And why wouldn't you? A lot of people grew up watching Snow White. It's an iconic, classic movie, and you're getting paid to be part of this, and people are going to associate this amazing character, this legendary character, the root of Disney's founding, with you. How on earth could you not be grateful? How could you not be grateful for what you're given? How could you take this tone in the face of all of this abundance and these blessings that have been bestowed upon you that you do not deserve? How on earth could you possibly be as repulsive and instantly repugnant as Rachel Zegler? I don't understand. It is foreign to me. Because when you're given these opportunities, when you're given all this money that most people will never see in a lifetime, and you choose to be evil, I don't get it. Meanwhile, Brett Cooper is not getting near as much money, guaranteed. She's being part of a project that is not going to be as big as Disney's. It's going to be more popular, but Disney has more reach and they have more money to throw away. But look at how happy she is. She is not getting as much money. This isn't going to make her as famous as, Rachel Zegler in a Disney production, but she is 1,000 times more happy and more exuberant than Zegler is. What it goes to show you is that it's not about the money. It's not about the company. It's not even about what you're doing. It's about who you are. These two people could not be more diametrically opposed, and it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has to do with your outlook on life. Brett Cooper obviously has a much more healthy, much more understandable view of these things. And I have to say, I'm excited to see what they do. I hope they knock it out of the park. I hope that this is bigger than Disney's, because wouldn't that just be the sweetest of revenge? That Disney has to eat that humble pie because the Daily Wire, under Bentkey, delivered a more popular and more satisfying, a more fan-pleasing experience. God, I don't know how Bob Iger would be able to live with himself. That would be the most devastating defeat. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you sticking around and watching. I'm going to keep up to date on this because I'm interested in it. I grew up watching Snow White too. I watched all of those Disney classics. Right on VHS. We would watch them on the trip up to our cabin. We had one of those old TV VCRs that plugged into the cigarette lighter. One of those old tube TVs. Yeah. My family and I would sit in the back of the car. We'd watch Aladdin. We'd watch The Lion King. we'd watch all of these other movies, and it was amazing. And to this day, my least favorite character in all of Disney is Ariel, actually. More so than any of the villains. I never liked Ariel. I thought she was a spoiled brat. I thought she was a spoiled brat that ruined everything around her because she was too stupid to understand that rules have a reason for existing. And in the end, her selfishness almost cost everyone everything. Until a man came along and saved the day. Anyway, on that note, that's a story for another time. Once upon a time. That's a story for another time. Anyway, thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it. Share this video if you agree. Share this video if you disagree. Leave a comment, leave a like. Do what you do. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you next time.